One of the things that really got Jimmy Johnson frustrated at his boss was money. Jerry Jones was just such a cheapskate. He didn't want to pay his players, and only preferred to pay his star players if it afforded him a moment in the spotlight. He was always counting pennies, and it seemed to go against his nature to consider giving anyone a raise. I talked about this in a previous video some, but I bring it up again here because something very interesting happened in Dallas in the days leading up to the 1994 draft. Keep in mind that the Cowboys, despite all the success they had enjoyed over the previous 3 seasons, they still had one of the smallest, if not the smallest, scouting departments in the league. They had no pro personnel director, their assistant coaches were overworked and underpaid, and this had bothered Jimmy Johnson for several years now, and he had let Jerry Jones hear about it on several occasions. But, lo and behold, Barry Switzer, in his first couple of weeks on the job, Switzer came to the conclusion that the Cowboys were understaffed on the defensive side of the ball. Remember now, when Switzer was at Oklahoma, the Sooners were always on the cutting edge of scouting and film study. Switzer himself may not have been the most brilliant head coach to ever come along, but he didn't have to be. His staff was so fluent, so prepared, so thorough. They were able to be all that because the school and the university put so much emphasis on winning football games that they were willing to have what many schools would have considered an oversized staff. So, Switzer knew how to run his staff, how to delegate. He knew what efficiency looked like. And he shows up in Dallas and quickly comes to the conclusion that, hey, we're not getting the optimum out of our defensive staff here. We're shorthanded. So, Switzer suggests adding another defensive assistant, which is going to cost the team, I don't know, let's just say $100,000. That might be a little high for an assistant back then, but let's just go with that number. Jerry, in previous years, could have taken $100,000 and spread it evenly among his assistants as a raise or a bonus. But he never did that. He was too cheap. But the minute that Switzer suggests adding another man to the staff payroll, Jerry signs off on the idea. He thought it was great, that it made sense. So Barry asked his staff for any possible candidates, and that's how Mike Zimmer came to Dallas. Zimmer was slotted to handle the nickel defense specifically for 1994. But I bring all this up just as another example of just how stubborn Jerry was in taking any sort of advice from Jimmy Johnson. How Jerry seemed intent at times on simply resisting anything and everything that Jimmy said. And we wonder why Jimmy was as frustrated after 5 years in Dallas as he was?